Hey there, what's up? My name is William Barry. I'm here to give you a rundown on my new project. So, this is Goblin. Goblin helps teams answer $1 million question, typically a multi-million-dollar question. Which AI model should we use? Is it an expensive one? And actually, is it worth it to run? So, we let you run, say, the same task through GPT-4, Anthropic models, or local models side by side and produce data driven analytics about that particular use case. This allows you to then make data driven analytics a main driving force in your particular use case and allow you to pick the lowest cost backed by real data, not guesswork. Companies use us to save tens of thousands per year by systematically testing AI models against human baselines before committing to production. It'll also give you a heads up if traditional AI methods using CSV uploads are a better bang for your buck or operate on cheaper hardware, etc. This is more particular to your use case, but we do allow you to have that information and make that sort of decision. Hopefully that makes sense. Without further ado, let's get started. Hey, what's up? This is the models page. The models page is where the concept of a model lives. A model is an AI model. Its associated API keys, its host, and other basic information required to access that model. This is the workflow page. So this does things like allow you to view and manage different prompts and configuration settings on a per workflow basis. So you can think of a workflow as a model with an associated usage. You can think of it as a reusable unit of work. And additionally, you can even consider this an agent in some future versions, although that does not currently exist in this demoable version. Here's the plan page. This is where the magic happens. So basically, everything associated with a workflow is then packaged into a plan. There's a primary workflow and then secondary workflows. The primary workflow for live data modeling is automatically executed via API immediately, and the rest are using a proprietary algorithm prioritized as necessary. So essentially, this is also where you select and edit your new primary workflow. And if you've found via data-driven analytics that it's time to make a change, this is where you do that using the edit plan page here. So you can scroll down and make a change just like that. I'm going to press cancel. I don't want to do that. Then we're going to move on to other areas of the application. This is the data dash. This is where live execution analytics come in, as well as information about our model's efficacy. On the overview, it shows us our total executions and as well as other information. We can look at performance for token utilization and response time in P50, P95, and P99. We can go to analysis to see different forms of agreement for both true and false measurement, as well as pairwise agreement. For more advanced runs with more models, this analysis breaks into an even more dense view. So this is basically the same run, but with a couple of different additional models with different information. All you need to know is that Claude Haiku and Claude Sonnet agree 95% of the time according to this graph. I've used it enough to be able to know. This needs modified a little bit to be a bit easier to view. Scrolling down, we've automatically extracted certain features from our results, including whether or not a model is discussing a brand and the percentages of those results, as well as certainty and breakdown on that distribution. I found that these certainty distributions are not necessarily as helpful as they might seem. This is misleading. These models are not particularly good for this use case, which the results tab gives us. So we can actually go through, choose is discussing brand as a consensus filter, and see only where they disagree. I'm going to scroll down. Very few failures, as you see. And tweet, back from 30K evening bike ride. Got a flat towards the end, now watching 24 season finale, season 7 that is. So there's no brand being discussed. Sentiment is neutral. It appears Facebook is being dragged in on this. I don't really know that I agree with that. It's kind of hard to say. 24 is not a brand, Claude. Maybe it is. I don't know. So let's see. But as you can see, this provides some additional info. So if we actually go to the cost tab, this is where the magic really happens. If you know for sure that your particular use case is already good, like it is worth it to you, we can actually scroll down and see some cost projections. And then, oh, look, Goblin is automatically identified that 95% of the time that our Boolean match, so there is a field where it's like, is brain being discussed, is true. 95% of the time, this model agrees. The bucket agreements aren't super helpful, as I've determined experimentally, but that's irrelevant. Then additionally, GPT-OSS is 92% similar. So you can go 66.9% cheaper up to 100% cheaper. These are using the max savings. Realistically, most people are not going to go spring for the free model, but the switch to Haiku would save for all fraud prevention per month for all credit and debit cards, 150 million. For just 1 billion email summaries per month, that's about 1.6 million to go to Haiku. And then for another utilization level being 100 million customer service bot replies, that's about, hey, just popping in to remind you that these utilization figures, I realized that I didn't clearly sort of explain. You should use those features for things like when I said 91.7 billion transactions for all credit cards, those are just particular volumes of things that might be comparable to your use case. And I've come up with 3 for, about 100 billion to 1 billion to 100 million. We'll come up with more later, but they're just intended to be points of comparison. Let's hop over to the experiments page. So the experiments page is where we can take CSV data and human tag data and get a better view on what those specific results mean. If we scroll down, as you can see, I've produced an export system where you can export the original input, all results, and a comparison of baseline and workflows. As you can see, we've got 3,534 with an average match rate of 69.2% between our primary workflow. So that's actually pretty good. That's 70% of the time. That's much better than the brand sentiment case. If we go over to performance, this is super misleading because of the time it takes to load up or whatever. This is like running on my MacBook, so it's not super fast. So if we go to the accuracy tab, it shows just basic accuracy information. The analysis tab is not built yet, and it's going to have some more advanced features. But we can come through and do very similar things like look at mismatches and see what's specifically gone. And for these, I believe a good chance. So where'd you go? Sentiment neutral. Our model being, if I recall correctly, this should be GPT-OSS. Just determines that's negative. I don't really know that that's super negative. And then some of these are like, I'm sorry, at least it's Friday. That's that says it's neutral. Seems, I don't know. We're kind of up in the air on that, right? But we can then export and use these for RAG or more or less any other advanced use cases. But we can have as many workflows as we want. And creating an experiment is as easy as saying, and since example's already created from a previous recording, we can do something like do example 2. Go in, take the original input, and it'll automatically do feature extraction. We want to use the text as the input. We want sentiment as the output. Oh, clicked off. We want sentiment as the output. We come through, we select the version that we want to use. In this case, this workflow. We want a fuzzy match. We click next. And then if we click create experiment, it'll run through. So that's the experimentation workflow, currently iterating on it now. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. In short, this has been my new project, Goblin. I want you to tell me what you think about it in the comments. Tell your friends and let me know what you think about this AI and generative workflow engine tool. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your day.